Well, hello and welcome back. Continuing along in our series here, we're going to work through the exercises in Chapter 2 of the Parametric Modeling with SolidWorks 2025 book. It's kind of a two-pronged approach. We've got the guided tutorials that are, step by step going through the chapter, and then we've got the end of chapter exercises. And so, this video, as well as, about half of them are going to be covering just individual exercises. Rather than be long-winded and super long videos, they're going to be more to the point, just showing how to go about handling some of these general assignments as a solution video, if you will. So, with that, the first one is the incline support. It is in inches, and it's going to be, although easy to miss, it's extruded a depth of 0.5 once you draw it. So, I'm going to move this over to my other window so that I can look at it while I'm drawing. When you open SolidWorks up for the first time, you might notice that we have different templates available. If you are a GNTC student, rather than use these, you need to go to Advanced, which I like this window anyways, and use your GNTC options. Since it is inches, that would be an imperial part. And hit Open. Now, when we open it, we're greeted with a part already in the sketch environment. We've already got the sketch started. We can immediately start to draw. The shape itself, it's not overly hard to draw. The biggest thing is drawing a rough sketch of what it looks like, adding in the dimensions for it, and then modifying the dimensions to be the values you want. You also may need a few constraints. These initial ones don't, but eventually, you have the ultimate goal of being able to, draw something, like in this case, if I pull it back over for a second. If I decided, oh no, this hole needs to be 0.5, and actually, if it's 0.5, I need this to be 6. You could actually set it up in such a way that there are dimension changes based on other dimensions, or you can change a dimension without affecting the general big picture. That's the entire point of parametrics, is defining relationships and using those to control the design overall. So, we don't have to be super accurate initially, but over time you want to fully define sketches so that you have that design intent built in. And we'll talk more about it in later assignments. For now, the goal is just to nail the general shape. That is your goal. So, let's get into it. Some people may wonder, what is this red little L right here? This is actually your origin. This is 0, 0 if you were looking at a Cartesian plane, this is more akin to a Cartesian plane in the bottom left here, but basically you can click on the origin to start drawing, and typically, you would want things to be centered around it and, every plane direction, but starting off, it's fine if you draw it with the point here. I'm going to draw it in space though, for the sake of explanation. So, because we're doing a rough sketch, I am going to start my bottom line of this part looking about the same length as what the line would be for what we know is the actual final product. The reason being, not that it really matters, it's just so that when you go and change the dimensions, it doesn't scale too much and just get crazy and make the dimension or the lines jump around too much, because we want it to be kind of close. That's why it's called a rough sketch, And even in this case, I'm going to draw, making this protrude further than the other part, because it doesn't really matter, truth be told. Now, I didn't mean to click there, so I'm going to back it up one time. And, I broke the connection by going back, so I'm just going to turn it back on, my line command, that is. And I'm just going to click the end point, and I'm just going to keep on drawing. Just going to cut it in. And again, I'm just ballparking the measurements, and clearly this is wrong, but, it'll make more sense once we get there. I'll wait and do the circle for now. You know what? No, I won't. Let's just put that circle in. YOLO, there it is. Bam, beautiful circle. I clicked once to place a circle, another time to place the outside boundary, the radius point, if you will. And then we turn on the dimension. Now keep in mind, every time you choose a command, rectangle, whatever, it's always going to show its active attributes editor over here. It's properties. You can always tell also by your pencil or cursor or whatever, it'll show the icon for that command. So if I put circle on, you'll see a circle underneath my pencil. How to get out of that, you can hit the check mark or you can hit the escape button. I'm an escape kind of person, but to each his own. So we're going to start dimensioning this bad boy. So the first one, we'll say 3 inches. So dimension it by clicking the line, type in 3, hit enter. And the command will stay active until we cancel it or cause a boo-boo. So we're just going to go through. I'm going to hover over this 1.5 line, or what should be the 1.5 line. And we're essentially going to go through and add all of the dimensions just like they're shown in the book. You know, no real deviation here, just going through and connecting them. And I guess let me explain what I did there for those that might have missed it. This time, rather than choose just a line, I actually chose, oops, let me turn that smart dimension back on. I chose this line and I chose the top line, essentially saying, you know, draw a line of dimension between them. So this one I'll change to 2. Now, as we're changing these, you can see it's just jumping around, changing the shape. Don't worry too much about it. Just keep plugging in dimensions. It's not a big deal. So I'm going to put one from this line to this point. 0.75. Now, here's a perfect opportunity to point out something I see a lot of students do. You know, for whatever reason, I don't even really see the use case, to be honest, for this, but if you click a line, you can see a dimension controller here, and you're probably thinking, sweet, you know, like that saves me a step. I just change it to be 1, right? It does, but it's worthless because it still can be adjusted. So it might be helpful to someone. I can't really think of a use case besides, you know, a temporary setup. But, you know, we're going to put that dimension in so that we have that defined control. And I'll show you here whenever we get closer to having a full sketch how that parametrics really comes into play with like pulling on it and adjusting things in real time. But for now, we're just going to plug away. Okay. We've got 1.25 to right here. And honestly, you know, I know it shows the dimension right here, but we don't want dimensions on the model generally. So I'm gonna put it right here. This one's 0.5. And let's see, the circle itself is 1. Now, I'm gonna be honest, this is a pet peeve. I hate that SolidWorks does this, but you're really supposed to have a regular dimension, not like a linear dimension, right, like that. So I'm gonna fire up the dimension to make sure it's placed like so. And if we were being really technical, it should be like way up here. So it's now 1. We need to locate it. But let's see, it's pretty straightforward. It's just, you know, from the center to the end of one of them lines, 1 inch. And conversely, from the bottom line to the center, which you can just click the outside radius as you see, 1 inch. Okay. Pretty close, right? I mean, yeah, you can tell that the side's a little off here. It's been off the whole time. The reason I wanted to show you this is because, you know, if I would have drawn it to be in line, which, you know, I can pull it and move it. It looks pretty close just by like grabbing it, you know, and shifting it, you know, click, hold, and move. You could also add the dimension in again. I could say like, oh, it's, you know, 3 inches from this line to this line, but that's inefficient. This is where we get into that relationship stuff. Now, if you want to just put the dimension from here to here for now, that's fine. But you're going to need to eventually add in relationships. It'll actually be a requirement in my classes. And so you start with it right now. You know, there's 2 ways to do this. You can either click Add Relation to enable the relation dialog box. And you can choose, well, don't choose the profile as I just did there. In this case, I'm going to escape and re-enable it. Choose the line. Choose this line. And it gives us some options, collinear being the option, but I'm actually going to do it the way I prefer to do it and show you. You can, instead of clicking that little button, you can just hold shift to select multiple items, just like you would in, I actually chose the point there, but just like you would in, you know, like Microsoft Windows, you know, you can just choose them too. It selects them, it enables the command, and then we need collinear, which essentially means these 2 lines are aligned. They're in the same plane of existence. Now if we add that, you can kind of see a little dotted line, and if I were to go and pull this end, you know, clearly we don't have our depth dimension here, so that still moves freely, but these 2 stay together. Cool. So the shape is almost defined now. Bad typing on my part. I believe this is everything. So from here, you're probably thinking like, you know, neat, I'm done, but not technically. And I'm going to point this out now because again, it matters later. But if you're in a sketch, you can look down here at the bottom. It has a bunch of context, like where your mouse is. You can see the X and Y positions down here. You can see, I'm not sure what that is, but you can see under defined, editing sketch 1, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, under defined, that's the one we're looking for. If it says under defined, you've got work to do. Additionally, you can see a minus sign in a parentheses right here next to your sketch. That's also telling you that. In our case, what it's saying is, hey, this part moves. When you're done doing your drawing, it should not move without controlling a dimension. So if I grab any point on this, it doesn't matter because it should be fully constrained. It moves, okay? So we can see it moves up and down, moves left and right. If I grab a point, we can see it just moves anywhere. So what you can kind of tell is we have defined the shape of this part. This part exists in its form. However, we have not said where it exists yet. So this is where I was saying earlier, you could have just drawn and, you know, as you can see, if I let go while it's that little yellow dot is showing there, so the point and point are connected with a coincident, you know, then it's defined, it's located. If I were to grab a point and pull, it doesn't do anything. You can see the sketch lines are actually now black rather than blue. You can see it's fully defined down here. It does still show the minus sign next to sketch 1. Not sure why, but we'll get there. But rather than do that, I'm a big fan of, you know, choosing a point that matters. And in this case, we don't know what really matters because we don't know the design intent. But I like the circle being there. I don't know, it just feels right to me. So, you know, that's what I'm going to choose to put there, is the circle. And so, yeah, you know, you've got your sketch done. It's fully defined as noted down there. So I'm going to hit exit sketch. Now our minus sign is gone as well. And that just leaves us to make the extruded feature. Now I mentioned before, you know, and most times they'll pre-select this profile for you, but I mentioned before that whatever tool you've got selected, it's going to give you options. So we've got a couple here. And I'm going to explain them. Let me just make this bigger. I never use this option either, but you can actually pull this little thing here to kind of give you, you know, some wiggle room, and you can like hold shift and control to kind of like tighten it up and stuff. I don't like it, but you can do that for the sake of explanation. And now if I show you the different options for an extrusion, we've got blind, which is essentially saying, I don't care, just go this way, you know, blindly go in this direction. So I can flip it by hitting this button and flip it the other way. And all it's using is that sketch plane, you know, as a reference point to push it. We can also do up to a vertex, up to a surface, offset from a surface, and up to a body. Now, those are more complex, and really I can't even show you without having other geometry. But essentially that would be like, I don't know, over here I have, you know, a wall or something, you know, and I could say like, make this profile go and touch all the way up to that wall. Just make it run the full distance, you know, or same with the surface. Surface is, you know, similar in concept. Or you could even say like, you know, a certain distance from something like an offset from surface, or, you know, to next surface. That's kind of like what up to body is. But in this case, we want mid plane, because I talked about before, you want everything to be centered. And so if you see our sketch there, you can see it's kind of in the middle of this extruded profile, which you can tell better if I pull on it. You know, you can see that blue. So we're going to choose mid plane to extrude both ways. And then we're going to change it to the proper depth of 0.5. And we're going to save it. That is, that's it. It's really not too bad when you actually get into it. So I'm going to hit save. And I guess I might as well give you a little pro tip here. So I'm saving this in my answer keys as I go about, you know, setting this up. For you, I would choose somewhere wise. You know, for me, I'm a big user of desktop. I exploit desktop. I shouldn't. I use it all the time. But my documents, desktop, something, you know, whatever you want to put it in. Make a folder, you know, like chapter 2. So that's where you're working in. And then save your part. Whatever your name is. In my case, you know, I'm just going to name it what it is. But, you know, Well, if you're a student, there's a naming scheme to follow. If you're a random person, you might want to put something in there, name it however, makes the most moral sense in your case. Save it, and then go about doing the same thing, like make a folder structure and put each assignment in the proper chapter, because what you're going to find through doing all these is they're all kind of named similarly. Like you may even have a part that's called bracket and later have a part that's called bracket. So, you definitely want that folder structure in place. And so, basically by the time it's done here in my folder for this, I'm going to have chapter 2 through whatever it is, like 17, I think it is, all piled up in here. And then within each one is going to have the actual assignments in them. And I would suggest you do the same. In fact, you may as well set it up right now and save yourself the trouble. You can just, go through and look at the book and take note of how many it is, 17 chapters. You can plug it in and call it a day. So, but yeah, so this is the first of the series of the exercises. More to come. Just let me know if you have any questions.